goats are really strong, and they certainly don't want you jabbing them in the jugular, which is unfortunately where you have to draw blood on a goat. Again, we want to make this as pain-free, fast, and easy for both us and the animal. Hey guys, I'm Kaylin. Welcome back to Fable Hill Farm. Today is just going to be a quick video for you talking about biosecurity testing with my goat herd. We just finished drawing blood on all of the does as well as our 3 bucks, and I'll be sending those samples off to UBRL, which is one of the only Johne's accredited testing facilities in the United States. And I'm just going to share with you in this video what we're testing for, to give you a quick look at the process, and then also what supplies would you need if you were going to do your own blood draws at home on your goats. Now, really important for me to preface this video by saying I am not a veterinarian. I'm not giving you any veterinary or medical advice. You should always maintain a veterinary client relationship with your own veterinarian. You should always do your own research, and I highly recommend always having a local goat mentor to help to advise you, especially when you're a beginner. But, in every stage of owning livestock, there's always something new to learn, and you don't know what you don't know. And I am not an expert by any means. This is only my 2nd year drawing blood on my own goats, and it went a lot smoother than previously, especially because I was more confident in doing it this year. I just had my vet out a couple of days ago to do like a whole herd health check and talk about health protocols and meds for different things, especially with the changeover in the law that's happening in the United States this year, June or July, where all of the over-the-counter antibiotics are going to be pulled off the shelves, and that's been ongoing for years now in the making, that law. So I'm not going to get into that, but I had my vet out and I talked with her about the best technique to draw blood. She herself is a dairy goat breeder, and so she gave me a couple of tips, and that made it a lot smoother for me. Overall, it went really, really well, and yeah, I got to get those samples off tomorrow. They need to sit for an hour before they go in the fridge, but I thought I would just share with you guys a few basic things about this whole process. So if you want to learn about how to draw blood on your own goats and what supplies you're going to need, stay tuned. Our milk room / workshop is in chaos right now because my father-in-law has been putting in insulation in all the interior walls and then putting up the OSB board over it. So he's fairly close to done. He's got one wall over here left, and then he'll patch that up and get things painted. And yeah, it's exciting. It's getting a lot warmer in here, but that's, the chaos that's going on in here. So anyways, what do you need starting off if you want to draw blood on your goats? Well, you're going to need first to find out what lab you're sending off your samples to. And the reason why that is critical is every lab has different requirements about the volume of blood that they need from an animal to run certain tests. So the lab that I use, primarily UBRL in California, requires 1 milliliter of blood to run all the biosecurity panels. So I like, theirs is a lower volume, and I've never had any issues with them not having enough blood to sample things. So the things that you're going to need once you figure that out, you'll go ahead and print off the lab sheet, which, let's see, cover up my address and stuff, but this is the lab requisition with everybody's names and what tests are you running. So I am running a biosecurity panel, which is, it's bundled together, so you save $1 when you do all 3 of them compared to doing individual tests for Johne's disease, CL, and CAE. So I'm doing those 3, and then additionally on all of my does, I'm running Q-fever, which I will be doing every couple of years. And then I wanted to do brucella as well, but unfortunately UBRL no longer does that lab. So I am actually going to have to redraw on all my does and send off for the brucella test through I think it's WADDL or Waddle, I think some people call it. So that's a separate university laboratory that offers that test, and I will be pulling the does and sending that off. And the Q-fever and the brucellosis are two diseases which are zoonotic, meaning that human beings can get them from animals. So because we drink raw milk, and because I have a raw milk herd share program, which will really be kicking off this year, I wanted to make sure that I was, ensuring my herd was free of any zoonotic diseases. So again, we're testing for Johne's disease, CL, and CAE on everyone, bucks and does, and then on all the mature does who are going to be contributing milk to my, raw milk herd share program. All those does will be tested additionally for Q-fever and brucellosis. So I have my form filled out, and then what I did is I went ahead and I labeled all my test tubes ahead of time. Now again, every lab has different requirements. There are different ways that you can do this. For the test I'm running, a red top tube is the kind of tube they want. I think there's one other one you could use, but yeah, I buy these in bulk, the red top tubes. They're not too expensive. I think it was maybe $25 or $30 for a big case of them that looks like this here. So you go ahead and you write, again, this is just according to UBRL. They want the ID for the animal, which I use their names, and then the tube number, and then all of that correlates to the lab requisition forms. So I went ahead and did that in the house, printed off that sheet, filled it out, labeled all my things, and then I came out here and we got started. I could not have done this without my husband's help, and I do not recommend, especially if you're inexperienced, doing this by yourself. Now, a super experienced person, I have heard like my vet say, and my mentor can, more apt to be able to do it by themselves. But yeah, you need somebody to help you if you're new to this. You're going to need, with those red top tubes, needles here. And actually, I really like these little needles, and this is my first year using them for the blood draw, and they work so much better. This is a really short 20 gauge needle, and it seemed like they didn't even hardly feel it going into their veins. So I have these teeny tiny little 20 gauge needles, and then I used 3 cc syringes. Now, of course, you're testing for disease. You want everything to be accurate. You cannot share syringes or needles between any of the animals. You need sterile syringes and sterile needles for every individual animal. These are 3 cc or 3 ml syringes, and while UBRL requires 1 cc, a little extra is not a bad thing. Yeah, I've got these 3 cc ones, and I buy these in 100 boxes. I'll have to order more because I used a lot today. And then also you're going to need alcohol prep pads. Alcohol prep pads, or you can buy like a sprayable alcohol to clean the area. So again, we want everything to be clean and sanitary and as sterile as possible before we draw the blood. You're also going to want to clip the goat's necks, and you'll see in the footage I'm about to show you what that looks like. But if you don't have clippers, it makes it a million times harder to actually see the vein. So you really need to clip their neck so that you can see that jugular vein. Again, we want to make this as pain-free, fast, and easy for both us and the animal. And the best way to do that is to clip the neck so that you can actually see that jugular. So we're going to want to have a sharps container, someplace that pre-designated to put your biohazard material such as your needles into, and have that set up ahead of time. Last but not least, some type of treat is a great idea because you want to keep the animals as calm as possible, and especially like with our bucks, that made all the difference in the world today of it being fast and easy. So depending on what you give your goats, there's lots of treats out there. Personally, I use peanuts regularly, and then animal crackers as special treats. Animal crackers are not good for goats, but they usually really love them. So we use both today. We just had those ready and set up, and lots of them at hand to help to keep the goats calm through that process. And cue the blood draw footage. All right, so there you have it. That's what it looks like to draw blood at home on your own goats. Now, of course, you can always have your veterinarian do this, and definitely a great option, especially if you're not comfortable with needles, not comfortable with blood, or you just really lack the confidence. Your animals are going to pick up on that and they are going to fight you. And if you don't have a helper and you're new, then you really need to either find a helper or have your vet do it. Now, the thing is, it's going to cost you a lot more typically, unless you have a vet with crazy low prices. It will usually cost you quite a bit more to run those labs through your veterinarian. Perhaps you could have the vet like draw the blood and then you just keep it and mail it off yourself, and you could save money that way, but you're still going to have the incurred costs of having the vet out to do it, of course. So that is an option, just to make you aware of that. But for the purposes of this video, that's what it looks like to draw blood at home on your goats. The other thing I did today, besides drawing blood on everyone, was on does that are 4 weeks out from kidding, I copper bolus them if they were due for copper. And I personally use the 2-gram kid boluses. I'd rather give them more copper, more frequently at a lower dose. And my personal reason for that is because I was previously using a Zinpro 4-plex C mineral, which contains copper, and a number of the does in my herd came from my mentor's farm, and she had had a previous issue with copper toxicity. So that's just a personal reason why I do that, and I give the smaller bolus. I'm not saying that that would be right for your herd, but that's just what I do for those reasons. So I went ahead and copper bolus the does that were 4 weeks out from kidding that were due for their copper. And then I also gave everyone Bosi that was 4 weeks out from kidding. And this is my first time using Bosi. I just got a bottle from my veterinarian when she was here the other day. And Bosi is a selenium and vitamin E injectable that's given subcutaneous. And the reason why we give selenium here is that we're in a really high selenium deficient area. Previously, I was using selenium paste, and I discussed everything with my vet. I stopped giving selenium paste quite some time ago because I was intending on switching to the Bosi. And you can overdose goats on selenium and cause selenium toxicity, and it can be fatal to goats. So again, you need to talk to your veterinarian about all this stuff. Don't just go around giving Bosi shots to your goats without A, knowing if they need selenium, B, knowing if you're in a selenium deficient area, and C, if you're using any other source of selenium, then it would likely not be safe. Again, I'm not a veterinarian, but Bosi is a product that is intended to be the only source of selenium supplementation for a goat. And again, because we're in a selenium deficient area, and having talked to my vet, that's what I'm doing, is 4 weeks before kidding, giving a shot of Bosi. It is a dose based on weight, so we had to go ahead and get weights on all the does that we were giving it to, and then, you know, give them the injections for that. So I also gave Probios and Replimon Plus gel to my bucks while they were in here, and that's just something different that I do with my bucks and my does. The does who got copper also got Probios as well, which is just a probiotic paste. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you for taking the time to watch my videos. If you are interested in learning more about Nigerian dwarf goats or just goats in general, especially when it comes to showing and milk testing in holistic livestock management of goats, or in all the kids that are about to be born here in just a few weeks. Stay tuned, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit that like button, and make sure you hit the notification bell, because otherwise YouTube might not let you know that I posted a new video. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.